See something off me that really gonna be something. I talk I like camera action. Everything I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kimanchi, and we are here with the penultimate episode of It. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 7, titled The Black Spot. The writers are Jason Fuchs and Brandon Caleb Kane. The director is Andy Muschietti, and the cinematographer is Daniel Villar. So, honestly, I'm gonna be real. It took me like a couple of days to digest this episode because I'm pretty sure I experienced a form of like ancestral PTSD during the scene, right? And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna go into like chronological order of some things. But y'all already know, just kind of as we're getting into the meat of things, as we're kind of in the area of this tale that leads into what we already know, what was written in the books and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, the predictions and the speculations are dialed back because we know what comes next-ish. And then like the initial format, you know, as we were in the front half where we were just kind of introduced to this new story and what it could be. So it's going to make these, at least the last episode, and then of course this episode, this podcast episode, shorter than the first 5. And I'm pretty sure episode 8 is going to be long as hell because we're just going to do a whole season wrap. And I'm sure the finale is just going to blow our minds. So yeah, it took me a little bit. I had an emotional response. It's tough. Not everybody experienced it the same way, but you know, it is scientific, and you know, just the things that Black people have experienced in this country, the way that we respond to certain things when we see it again, even if it didn't happen to us, there's just a physiological response to these things. So I can be honest and say that it was not easy watching this episode, but credit to the writing and being able to create psychological safety on the set in order for the performers to deliver the way that they delivered. Absolutely incredible episode. I said this last episode, like the penultimate episodes tend to be like the best of the season. And this got a 9.5 rating. They tend to be the best of the season because like all hell breaks loose. And so, you know, as the people were in literal hell, like every time you thought it couldn't get worse, the pressure was getting worse. And it was just like, where do we go from here? How do you even follow up? But for right now, we're not going to focus on following up. We're going to get into the things. So the first thing on my list is the Bob Gray lore, and opening this up in 1935. Yes, opening this up in 1935, the young Ingrid, young Bob Gray, who, you know, dressed up as the original Pennywise the clown, and seeing that he was a single father who put aside all of his depression to make kids laugh and make kids happy, and also just try to be the best dad that he could be with the tools and the strength and the know-how that he had, was really beautiful in bringing back like the fact that he himself is a victim of this entity. And so for the longest time, even in the It story, it's just like it, Pennywise, you know, this is just who it is. It's this thing, it's this entity, it's its being. But to show like there was a whole person who lost their life in this thing took on its likeness in order to attack and prey on children. It's like Ingrid's dad never knew peace. He did not know peace in life. He didn't know peace in death. And the memory of him, only remembered by his daughter at this point, is tarnished forever. And that image, if any of those old pictures and Polaroids should pop up, if anybody after the fact who's seen Pennywise in this form now recognize these photographs from 1935, they're gonna connect those two in the lifespan of who Bob Gray was is totally eradicated and replaced by it. And that is just a tragedy. Like, it's a tragedy what this thing has done in the town of Derry. And knowing that it's white men's fault, it's like, hello, what did they say in Pocahontas? These white men are dangerous. And it's literally their fault. But in this scene, I genuinely love, like, when the kid is walking up and he's like trying to do his best to be like a helpless little kid. But when I tell y'all, I keep saying, nobody gives a fuck about kids. Don't they care about kids? This monster showed up in what he would think is the most vulnerable form. A child who looks hungry, lost, and scared. But Bob was like, okay, I can't find my parents either. Because they did. Like, fuck out my face. And, you hear this woman screaming. He's like, what's that? He's like, my mom. Let's go get her. And Bob's like, that's your mama. That's not mine. Like, I just said that mine are in the grave. And so I just really loved that in this calculating moment, the entity is like, kids are drawn to you. And he's also recognizing adults aren't drawn to him as a child. And so it was a very smart and calculating move for it to take on Bob Gray's likeness. And it really tells you, like, the intelligence level that's there. And without getting into, like, thoughts and predictions and just other things that I look forward to as we move forward, I would really like to see, like, the length and the range of intelligence of it. Because remember, he came down thousands of years ago before there were people to feast upon. And so, like, what can it do? And we have a lot of room to explore that now that we are, reimagining and breathing new life back into a beloved horror franchise. So really love that. Now moving on to the hard part, the black spot. First off, Hank, I have been trying to take it easy on you, my brother. Sir, trying to bargain with racists. They're in here with fucking purge masks on. If they wanted to bargain, they would have at least had the courage and the balls to show their faces. And they did not. And you coming out after everybody's like, okay, boom, like, we just chilling. It ain't nothing but a bunch of Negroes up in here trying to have a good time. We're protected by the military, this, that, and the third. And you come barging out of the room. Heller was like, bruh, and the entire world watching took a collective ancestral sigh because I'm like seconds. I'm one more stupid decision away from calling him a traitor to the race. Like, I'm one more dumbass decision away from, like, convening the Black delegation and getting rid of Hank Grogan because I can't. I can't. I can't. Like, oh my God, let the community protect you, bruh. Let it. Let it. Because every decision you made has led down this path. I'm not going to say like you're the cause, but your decisions were skipping on the exact same road as everything else. And involving yourself with a white woman and just putting yourself in the line of fire of white people in this racist ass town was just, oh my God, like, why did you come back? Why did you come? Oh my God, I can't go back 2 minutes. I can't go back 2 episodes. I can't go back 2 episodes because pissing me off. Fuck. Anyways, they was like, listen, get the fuck out of our place. And the white people was like, all right, I'm gone, whatever. And the biggest mistake made after that was not following them out and just believing that they would just leave. And this one is twofold, right? I feel like Black people want to believe that there is good in white people. Like, I think even to this day, there's a level of like hope of like, well, maybe not all of them. Like, maybe we can get to one person. And I think in this moment, instead of following them out, it was just like, they know we got guns, so like, we'll be good, you know? And it's that small sigh of relief of just hoping that they leave you alone. And then the other part of it too is being Black in the military. Because they made it a point to say, like, this is military grounds. Like, you are actually trespassing. Like, no, there wasn't a gate for you to go to, but this building was funded and sanctioned by the government. And so they're trusting that anything that would happen to them would be seen as a federal crime because they are federal employees. And the truth of the matter is, racists don't give a fuck about a Black person in a uniform. They don't care. And so you got these things plus them just trying to quickly come up with a solution to getting Hank out and in that distraction. It just gave just enough time for them to get trapped inside of this burning building. Now, cinematically, sinners, sinners, sinners. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's a copy, right? But Sinners is the recent cinematic masterpiece that really showcased like juke joint culture and Black people in music and just convening and having community together through music, through rhythm, through blues, through pain, through happiness and stuff like that. Then, of course, the fire scene of Sinners overlapped with the actual fire of the Black spot and kind of like what that represented, even down to the Octoroon girl who was in the Black spot and old boy recognized her and was like, you need to go home. And it's just kind of like, you don't belong here. We're here for the Negroes. And like, we're just pretending that, your grandma wasn't Black. So go and get out of here because you look white enough. So I love that this episode came at a time after Sinners because it's able to have the reverence that it deserves cinematically, like for the rest of film history and TV history. So I really love that. But those screams, Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Them screams, baby. No, everything in me just like cracked. It cracked bad. And then, of course, we all knew it. We didn't want to believe it. But Rich saving Marge's life and them confessing their love to each other, knowing that it's never going to bloom beyond this, was just heartbreaking. But the acting, man, the acting. Marge, the way she cried this whole episode, like the grief that was present from start to finish, just blanketed this episode. Like, kudos to everybody. It was absolutely insane. But of course, in the midst of fear and in the midst of disaster and destruction, here comes Pennywise. Now, Black Lady number 4, why are you reaching your hand out to this clown standing in the middle of a burning building and him telling you he knows the way out? And you sticking your hand out? Girl, I don't know. Choose the fire. I don't know. Like, what? What? Are you crazy? Absolutely crazy. But the entrance, oh my God, Pennywise bust in there like the Thriller music video. He got him and all of the ancestors behind him rising up. And of course, Halloran can see them, and Pennywise is like, they see you too. And it was just incredible. It's so many frames. I took so many pictures on my phone. Like, this entrance topped the tunnels. I'm sorry. Like, there's no better villain entrance than this moment. Oh my goodness. So all of this is happening. And Halloran is doing his best to get the people out. The indigenous ancestor comes and she's leading him to a place within the building on these lands. And she helps him find an escape to get as many people that haven't been shot or haven't already passed out from smoke inhalation out of the building. And one of them was Hank, and Ronnie and Charlotte. Will got out and everything. So they got out. We're still in this building. Not only are people burning up, but Pennywise is eating hella people too. So he munching, he crunching, and he finally goes outside, and all of the white people are leaving when Ingrid's husband's car didn't start. So she come out and she got on her periwinkle gear, and he was like, Ingrid, if you don't get home, I'm gonna beat your ass. And she was like, hi, Papa. And he turns around and Pennywise is there with the biggest meat cleaver I have ever seen and chops my man's face clean in half. Now, was this death satisfying for me? No. It was too swift. But I enjoyed Pennywise looking at Ingrid, being like, okay, she still not scared of me after all this time? That's crazy. And he's showing eye contact while eating her husband's brain. And so she's like, Papa, oh my God, like, thank you so much for coming back. I just knew if they thought that Hank was here, that they would come here and there would be a lot of fear and you'd be able to eat and you'd come back. And I want to park right here. So this can be taken a couple of ways. It's specific enough and ambiguous enough to either be like, Ingrid knew through Charlotte that Hank would be there. Maybe they had a conversation when she went to Charlotte on base and she was like, I know somewhere to take him, blah, blah, blah. And maybe it slipped out. Okay. And so when she's like, I just knew if they thought he was here, right? Because you could just say like, oh, I knew if they thought he was here, da, 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 da. And you could say that even when you know that they're there. But I feel like she didn't know at all that he was there and just guessed and assumed that he would be there and then tipped off the former sheriff for them to all go there and do it regardless. So the way that this statement was delivered was, whether Hank was there or not, she knew what she was doing when she tipped them off, sending them there in the first place, because she already knew that they wanted them dead anyway. And so either way you slice it, we need to kill Ingrid. I'm trying to hold it together. And I think that I'm going to do everything in the final episode because this is crazy. This is crazy knowing that Ingrid is the reason all of these Black people died. So, she's like, don't leave me. He's like, oh, I'm going back to sleep, girl. I'll be back. I always do, girl. When have I ever let you down? And she's like hugging on him. And he's looking and he's sticking his tongue out. But I kind of took this scene as he's sniffing his food and he's realizing like, yuck. She's not scared of me. Ew. This is not good meat. And I think that if she showed fear in that moment, he would have ate her. But he was just like, okay, she's still delusional as fuck. So I'm going to be like I did last time. See you again when you old and gray. And it's in this moment where, she's like, my dad would not actually leave me. So now all of a sudden light bulbs want to start firing off on all cylinders. And she's like, you're not my dad. And he's like, no, she's like, who are you? And he's like, well, I'm Pennywise, your dancing daddy. And she's like, no, you're not. Like, where's my dad? And he's like, oh, I ate him. And it's so funny the way that this line was delivered because I don't even think he ever thought he would have to even remember what he did all these years ago. Like, her question caught him off guard and it genuinely looked like he was trying to lie. And I had to think to myself, the entity can deceive and it can manipulate, but can it outright lie? That was my first question. Then, if it can't necessarily lie, then why did it tell, or if it can lie, and has the capabilities of outright lying, then why did it choose at this moment to tell her the truth, right? And so I guess to answer that question, one of my thoughts is like, well, maybe he just figured by telling her the truth, she'll get scared and then he can eat her before he goes to sleep. And so, of course, she's freaking out, doing all these other things. And, he opens up the dead lights on her ass. And so she called it, okay? Now, we are into the next day. And, you hear on the radio and then there's the newspaper of everything that happened. And, of course, they're reporting that Hank was one of the people that was charred in the fire, and they're saying that it was an electrical fire caused by the Black airmen and all these other things. And I'm like, they ran this newspaper article and these reports before they came out there. They had to. One, they're saying there's an undetermined number of deaths. Two, they're talking about it was an electrical fire and all these other things, and they're reporting that Hank is dead, even though they didn't see any bodies. They didn't sit there waiting until bodies were found. So you either ran the report before you went there because you knew you was going there to kill people anyway, or one of the people that was there also works at the news and they ran a report after the fact. And it's just crazy to me that this is what's going out when there are hella bullet holes in the building, with the trajectory showing that the bullets was coming from the outside in, and chains on the door, and no positive ID on any of the bodies, let alone Hank Grogan. And so it's like the depths and the nastiness of their racism too already have this drafted up without ever even knowing, because they just knew no one would survive. And so the lie is already circulating out there when there are witnesses who have survived. So I'm definitely curious in episode 8 to see if that's even gonna be brought up at all. Will was there, survived. Halloran there, survived. Like, Hank obviously survived. He can't go tell anybody specifically what happened, but Marge was there, survived. Like, Ronnie was there, survived. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, the racism is just nasty and it just runs so deep. And so I'm just very curious as to how this is going to go. And then another form of racism that presents itself is in General Shaw. Like I said, General Shaw was never gonna do any of this to try to help, and it wasn't a weapon or anything like that. He is trying to unleash this thing on the world. Fuck equal rights. I want to get everybody killed. For what end? Like, to what end? I have no idea whatsoever. But this speaks to another prediction that I made when I said Hamlin is going to try to get his family up out of there, and it's definitely going to be an argument about his loyalty to the military and the military that don't give a fuck about the country that he lives in or his rights, and or he will pull up on the general and actually like challenge him. And both of those things happen. Both of them happen. And General Shaw's like, listen, fuck all that noise. We're going to do what we need to do. And once again, I'm apologizing for the other lie and the lie on top of the other lie and the lie and all these other lies. And of course, Major should know this, but he left. But then General told Colonel Fuller, don't let him get off base. Hopefully Major left and was like, I know they're going to send somebody after me. Sir, you pulled a gun on your commanding officer. Like, I know this ain't a normal ops, but when you're Black, they're going to always find a way to make sure the rules apply to you, even though the entire time they've been operating outside of the rules and conducting a lot of unlawful and unsanctioned work. So hopefully it's running in his head that he gonna have to sneak off base. Like, they're not letting you off base, and they're not letting you better be thinking that they're gonna find a way to kill you. Like, hopefully that's running through his mind. But of course, Halloran, just a puppet, leads them to the closest pillar. And, they took it out. They dropped it in the lava. They're doing their thing. And Pennywise is cozying up in his guts. He done stored all of his guts, nuts, and blood for the next 27 years so he can feed. And I like the shot because it looks like he's back in the womb. The same womb that, he burst out of in the very beginning of the episode. And right when the sleep is getting real good, when your brain start like floating in your mind and REM sleep is like right there at your fingertips, he like, wait a minute. That's just a disturbance. The fuck? And so there's a shift in the earth. And he's like, wait a minute. My spidey senses are telling me that I can reach a little bit further. Well, I guess I got some room for some dessert. And so Will is at home and, Charlotte is trying to get Hank up out of there. She goes to Rose's house. She was like, listen, we need to do something. We need to get him the fuck up out of here. Major, obviously, is on base. So they're separated. He's separated from his family right now. These are not good times. And Will, he did listen to his mama and didn't go to Lily's house with Ronnie. So this is the one time Will listened. And of course, he gets a phone call and Ronnie's on the phone. But then it's that all too familiar, like, details of Rich's death inside. And Will's like, I already know what's going on. You're not about to punk me, you big light bulb head shaped bitch. Like, you ain't got nothing on me. Ain't nobody scared of you. And Pennywise is like, you was talking all that shit on the phone. What you gonna do now? And Will jumped back so fast, dropped that phone, but unfortunately it's too late because he is now sucked into the deadlines. So there's that, guys. Welcome to Derry, season 1, episode 7. Y'all, this episode is crazy. But before I get into a couple of more things, why the fuck is Lily just sitting around in her room staring out the window like Bella from Twilight? She in there, she pale as hell. Ain't no sunlight up in there. The lighting in the room is blue. The mama's like, hey, Lil, you got some people here to see you. And you're looking at this girl on the bed with some big weapon-like thing while she's locked in her room. And you don't say to yourself, let me check on my daughter. Let me see if she's okay. Has she eaten? Has she bathed? And it's crazy because people's on the internet trying to be like, oh, the Hamlins don't ever be around Will. They're the most active parents in this show. Obviously, they can't be everywhere at once. Some shit done popped off. Clearly, they're away from their child right now, right? But Lily be in the house with her mama experiencing neglect. And again, what is going on with Lily? What connection does she have to this shard that is sucking the life out of her? Bad. And really excited to see what that is. Is she genuinely despondent, or is she having some type of like psychological, physiological, and like other dimensional reaction to the protective measures that's in this? Like what is the transfer of energy that is happening? Because she does not look well at all. Like, it looks like the life force is being sucked out of her. But one of my biggest predictions and favorite ones is Daniel is alive. And everybody's like, oh, how he get up out of there? If y'all remember in the cell when they were speaking in their native tongue, he was like, they don't know. And she says, I know. Do what you need to do and get up out of there. And that was basically code speak. Hello, like, I don't know, I'm Black. And so, we'd be like, like, you're speaking with your mind, your sound, your facial expressions, and your tone of voice. She said, lead them down to their abyss and get the fuck out. And Daniel got out. Why wouldn't he get out? He knows the tunnels. Hello, it's not like rocket science that he would survive. And he would go where another pillar is to where Pennywise cannot reach him on that side of town. But of course, Daniel spotted their asses here. So I'm really gonna need Rose to kill her friend Francis. Rose must kill Francis. Got to. Gots to go. He has to go. Going into some predictions and some speculations though. So obviously, you know, Will does not die because the Hanlon bloodline continues. But I'm definitely curious as if they're going to show what he sees in the deadlights and if they're going to show what Ingrid sees in the deadlights, because we know in the movie that there was like a future being seen in the deadlights. So whose future? Who knows? But it's interesting too that he would show them the future. And it's actually really cool because once they leave Derry, they forget everything anyway. So it's just like, I can show you exactly what's going to happen. But if you leave, you'll never know, which means that when you come back, you'll be more vulnerable and susceptible to me killing you in the first place. You'll forget that you were afraid, and that fear will feel brand new all over again. And so it's almost like you're prepping and marinating your meal 27 years in advance. So would definitely like to see if they show that. But I'd be okay without it because, again, like, we know this. I think, okay. This is not like a prediction or speculation so much as like, I want this to happen. But that white man at the end who was looking back at the burning building, looking all remorseful and shit like that, he either needs to get caught, tortured, and killed, or I'm gonna need to see him maybe give an anonymous tip to the police about what really happened. He was just looking really guilty, and the camera lingering on his face. Again, these are directors who know what they're doing. They're not lingering on his face for that amount of time for a character who's not a main character, for it not to mean something. So definitely feel like we're going to go back to whatever that moment was, and it will be connected to something else that happens within the finale. Let's see. I think that's all of my predictions and speculations. Yeah. Francis must die. The white guilty man might, give the truth to some people. And at this point, it's like I want Hank to live off GP. But if he didn't, I would not be sad. Yeah, and I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. But some things that I wanted to highlight from this week. The line of the week. So, line of the week goes to Halloran. When General Shaw was like, how you holding up? He was like, the fuck it look like? Because why are you asking me dumb questions? Why? And then Halloran was like, oh, my bad, bro. Like, this shit is just crazy, bro. Like, what? How am I holding up? After being chained inside of a building and watching my fellow wingmen and their ladies and everybody else die, kids dying, and you're asking me how I'm holding up? Bro, are you fucking serious? How did you even become general? How? Can't be your smarts. Can't be. But love that line. Notable quotables. Again, this comes from Pennywise. Do I have face on my face? You're dancing daddy. And oh, I hate him. I actually really love do I have face on my face? Because I feel like I'm gonna use this when people be like, why you got all that makeup on? Da 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 da. Like, oh, it's just clown makeup, blah blah, natural girl, da da da. And it's like, are you mad that I have face on my face? Like, love that line. And then of course, performer of the week. Listen, this episode is Bill's episode. He ran the gambit. He was so good that Bob Gray didn't feel like Bill Skarsgård. Like, he did it in a way that really made it feel like when it ate him and possessed him and wore his skin, that it pushed his sinister like look and everything into that character. Because in the absence of Bob Gray's death and in just the original storyline, he looks like a regular man. Like, I don't know, it didn't even look like it was played by somebody else. It didn't even look like it was played by the same character. Like, I was just like, is this a body double? Obviously it's not, but the way that the acting was, the body language, the voice, and all these different things, it just felt like a different person. And so you're getting drama, you're getting comedy, you're getting tragedy, you're getting satire, you're getting him being a dick, and you're getting him be a monster in this whole episode. Like the eyes, just even with in the black spot, and even with Ingrid, like there's so much physicality that goes on with Pennywise, especially in the eyes and the mouth and the drooling, the way that he's just in command and control of his body. It just is insane. This is the best. This is like, I don't even know, how do I put this? Even if it's like a reimagining, it's really not, because they're taking the source material and they're expanding backwards on something that exists, but they're making it up along the way and within the bounds of the story that we know, which can be very hard. Basically, these are prequels. And yet somehow the Muschiettis make us feel like we never knew Pennywise ever, and this is our first introduction into who he is. And I'm really excited that Bill gets to do this in this way because, I saw the miniseries with Tim Curry, and then the miniseries was turned into a 2-part movie. And now Bill Skarsgård is doing the reverse, where it was a 2-part movie and it's now being turned into a series. Like, that has to feel so cool and so amazing to see the cycle of this story go from one end, from TV to film, and then from film back to TV. Like, that has to be an incredible gift given to Bill. And I know if I was Bill and I was in this role, I could probably get no other work ever again and be completely satisfied with how full circle this whole thing is. And it just makes me really excited for like this story to continue to live on in the future through art and through humans telling this art. And it's just like, who will be the next Pennywise? Like, I'm pretty sure, the adults watching Pennywise and fans of Tim Curry during that time frame was like, oh my God, there'll never be another one. And, don't remake this. And then Bill Skarsgård comes in, and now everybody's now like, don't give this role to anybody else. And I love that, because it's like, people get so mad at being like, why are we remaking this? Why are we doing this? This person, this is my blah, blah, blah. And you're just stuck in like the nostalgia. But if you could just keep an open mind and an open heart and understand that how we live and the time that we're living is not new. It's not unique. Like, time changes, technology changes, but ideas are essentially like cyclical. And so is talent. And this is the story that's already out there, but it's just being told in a different way. And it's told in a medium and at a magnitude in which we can now digest as a culture through FCC rules, and through the technology and the medium in which this story is able to be told in 2025. And so, like, what will that look like in another 30 years with the next Tim Curry and Bill Skarsgård? Like, who is that person? And that's just the beauty of the industry and like the beauty of storytelling. So there's that, guys. That is going to end this episode. I cannot believe we have one more left. What am I gonna do on my Fridays, y'all? This is crazy. But y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen to it, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post film and TV news and updates. I also post my articles and links to my articles from my Substack page. You can find it on my Instagram page. You can also find me on TikTok, where I post short form film and TV shows reviews on there about things that I do not necessarily cover on this platform, but I did start snipping certain things and I'm sharing it on that platform as well. It's a different type of conversation that we have on TikTok that we do here. But again, I'm still constantly covering things that we don't talk about on this channel. So if you have suggestions or if you want to see what else I'm watching and what the other people are watching, then find me on TikTok at Kevonchi. You can also find me on Twitter at Kevonchi. That is my main Twitter page. But you can find me on the podcast Twitter page at Pod. So there's that. And with that, I'm going to get out of here because a nap is beating my ass right now. Like, I need to take a nap. And so I'm gonna catch y'all in the next podcast episode.